Welcome to another episode of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Tonight we have a star-studded conversation regarding sports and a lot of the crazy trades that happened this past week in the NFL. So let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And I also have some Pollock's points, so let's get the intro to that.
Water. It's
My first Pollock's point of the night is my Green Bay Packers trading Devontae Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. My heart was completely shattered because he is probably the best wideout in football right now. And I was just so confused as to why we traded him. And I realized that the relationship between the Packers and him has been deteriorating for a long period of time. I know he signed a deal, $141.25 million contract. That's like him being the highest paid wideout in football. And we got first and second round picks out of that. I'm still disappointed. I expected a lot more from the Packers right now ever since that happened. You re-signed a good amount of players, but no big splash, no big trades have happened. Then we're going to head into my second Pollock's point, which is who will win the AFC West. Now, we all know that consists of the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Los Angeles Chargers. And all four of those teams are really stacked. They have made a lot of big moves that we're going to get into in the second half of my show and just talk about who's going to win. So, me personally, I'm going to pick the Broncos since I am a Russell Wilson fan. My dad is a Broncos fan, so I kind of have to default to go to the Broncos. But let's bring in Jeremiah. Let's start with the first topic. Devontae Adams being traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't even hear myself saying that. Like, it's bothering me for saying that. Jeremiah, what's your reaction to that?
To be honest with you, Jasmine, I really, dreaded this day because I would never saw the day that I would see Devontae Adams going to a different team or even another team, the Raiders. He's going to a whole different conference and a whole different division, to the AFC. Of course, the AFC West, which is very competitive right now with the Chiefs. You got the Raiders, you got the Broncos, and it's just going to keep going on. And to be honest with you, I thought that, maybe Rodgers was going to leave before Devontae. And because I thought he was just so much in on the whole, project of the whole team. But I think a lot of relations kind of messed a lot of things up. Not just saying with Aaron Rodgers, but I think a lot of stuff in the front office because, I just think that it was just a lot of bad blood. And for the Green Bay Packers, I dread it because what is their goal right now? I seen they was playing a lot of hardball, especially at the beginning when it came to already the contract with Devontae, because you could have been signed him, but you put the tag on him.
Yep.
And it's something about just looking after your players. I know when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I know how the thing is with the media and how they kind of treat him when it comes to everything. But it's like, this is not the first time that the Packers front office has been making questionable decisions. Look at how many relationships they kind of mess up in the certain past, how many times they really regretted going after top receivers that were out at the time, how many times that they made questionable decisions. Actually, inside the draft 2 years ago, they drafted Jordan Love. Now, it was always a question for me. It's like, what was the reason? They could have got themselves a wide receiver. Shoot, they could even got themselves some good defensive players. But no, it was a quarterback because it's always about making a statement. But it's like, what is the statement for? Are you going to build for the coming future? Or is it just playing around or just statements at the certain times where it's like your fans are very aggravated? And not to mention the media is looking at you each and every time of like, what have you done for me lately? It's been almost like 11 to 12 years since they been back to the Super Bowl, and it's been a letdown after letdown. I think they need to make some big moves this off season, or it's just gonna fail.
Like you said, us Packers fans are very agitated. I know I am. You know how big of a Packers fan that I am. And just what's so disheartening about all of this is we have a player, a quarterback, one of the great quarterbacks to play the game of football, not get enough weapons around him. We get Devontae, who and him and his chemistry just grew after we drafted him. And we could never find another receiver on the other side that will ease some of that pressure off of Devontae. We saw back in the NFC Championship against the 49ers a few years ago, where
Right.
the team was getting back. That's the first year LaFleur came in as head coach, new organization in the front office, and I was like, okay, all we need is another receiver, and then we need to tighten up on defense. I think that was our biggest issue was the defense. And the past 2 years, you start to see the defense start making some leaps into positive, and then positive direction. And last year, I felt this was the best defense that we've had and seen in a very long time since the Super Bowl. But
Absolutely
offensively,
agree.
he become very obsolete, very pedestrian, and it's unfortunate because when I thought the Devontae and Aaron duo, that duo was unstoppable. It was one of the best duos in the
Yes,
league,
your bread and
quarterback and
butter.
receiver duo. Yeah. And when I see us trade somebody like him away, it's like, okay, so who are you gonna replace him with? There's not a lot of guys up there who are like Devontae. He's in his prime right now. He's one of the best receivers. To me, he is the
Yeah,
best
top
receiver
three.
right now in football, and you could say Cooper Cup also. But what direction is the Packers going in? What direction are we looking to the future? Are we looking at the now? And I've had this conversation before. When you look at the Bucks, when you look at the Rams, when you look at all these teams, they built around their quarterback, regardless of, I don't care if it's the cap, I don't care anything about that. They still said, we are trying to win now. Even when the Rams just won the Super Bowl, like literally last month, they still added another receiver to the Rams, Allen Robinson from the Bears. And he's a very good, solid receiver. They still adding more pieces to that Rams team. And you give Matt Stafford that contract. Then when you look at the Bucks, Tom Brady comes back, he's still going to have those weapons around him, and they're going to get a contract done for all the other players that are around him to continue his momentum into getting to another Super Bowl and trying to win his eighth. Whereas the Packers were just sitting here, we have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae. Now Devontae's gone. Now who else do you have? So it's very unfortunate. To me, I believe we'll win the division. I believe maybe we'll be the top seeds, but I do not. If there's no changes made within this free agency in this offseason and in the draft, I do not have us going to an NFC championship. I do not have us going to any Super Bowl because when you lose a star player like that, it's very hard to get that back,
Right.
especially that connection him and Aaron had. So when I look at the Raiders got a good player, not to mention Derek Carr and Devontae played in college. So they have a rapport already as well. So it's not like they don't know each other. They played in the same college together. And it's just very unfortunate that that guy's gone. I still can't believe it happened. I'm still trying to find ways to see if it really did happen because I'm kind of in denial about it. But it's very unfortunate that that happened. But Jeremiah, being that we're speaking about the Packers, should Aaron have just either retired or just went to the Broncos?
Uh, in my opinion, when it came to Aaron Rodgers signing this contract, I felt like it would probably been best if he would just went to a different team. With all these things going on, now it's going to be, how much of a bigger backpack he had before with so many bricks is about to be even more right now because you're going to carry more of the weight and everything. Because you had Devontae Adams last year, of course. That was his top guy that he trusted. Like his LeBron to his D Wade, or his Shaq to his to Kobe. A lot of those connections in a certain way. You can see how he was just such a favorite target, or either him and Aaron Jones, when it came to that NFC championship, that he
Mm-hmm.
would keep on trying to find it, because you already know a guy like Devontae Adams is not going to fail you. He is going to give you
Mm-hmm.
100% each and every route that he gives. Now, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, you need to have him to actually trust his receivers. He just
Yep.
can't go out there and just try to deliver anything. Now you can
Mhm.
say it's a lot of deep in this when it goes in it, but he's going what he knows. He's going what he knows the recipe is to actually get that first down, to get that touchdown,
Right.
and also to win the games. So find him, I feel like, another veteran receiver, because right now you're running out a lot of years. He is about to turn 39 years old, and he's
Mhm.
close to 40, and he's going on those age where the gap is closing and that window is closing for you guys to actually
Absolutely.
get to that destination that you guys need. And I feel like you're messing up a lot of your future of trying to get, to a better future when so many teams are
Mhm.
trying to get right now, because everybody thinks their window is open. You see the AFC West. So first of all, the whole AFC, they think that their whole window is open. Now, some people's window is going to close, but everybody's trying to go for right now. And for the Green Bay
Right.
Packers, from their minds to kind of be outside and just kind of sitting back on the couch and just watching like us on TV and not doing anything, it just shows the lack of accountability and responsibility they need as like a franchise.
And on that note, we're going to head into the next topic, which is the AFC West, and then we'll get into the totality of the AFC. So let's go to a short break. We'll be right back to talk about the AFC West.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What would we do without it?
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine First Impression Sports Talk. And to wrap up the night, we're going to talk about the AFC West. So, Jeremiah, I have my pick, which is the Broncos. And for obvious reasons, I'll get into that. But who is your pick in the AFC West to win it?
Oh man, with me, I would have to go for the Broncos too, because we already know when it comes to the Chiefs, they're going to give you a fight when it comes to owning that division and everything, because they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing everybody back. You got him, you got Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey. You also got addition to Juju Smith. You also got Hill. You have so many weapons. Not to mention you have the other teams behind you, like the Raiders, which just got Devontae Adams, and also
Sadly.
they got Derek Carr, and they have so many weapons on that team. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, what both of those quarterbacks really don't have, I feel like, is a Russell Wilson. Now, for me, I would never doubt a Russell Wilson, especially with a great O line. And he's going to a place right now, which is Denver, that has a great O line, great weapons that he can kind of build himself around. Now, we've seen him when it came to being in Seattle, these last few years. They were the more down years, but you would still see Russell's excellence when it's time
Mm-hmm.
for him to have those excellent moments. He is very mobile. He can move off the ball, and plus his arm strength is out of this world. To be honest with you, and I feel like with the weapons on offense and defense, they can make their stands and actually become relevant as a franchise again to take that division back and kind of go far in the playoffs, in my opinion.
I agree. And with the acquisition of Randy Gregory, who's another defensive guy from the Cowboys, it's going to be a big deal for these teams to keep up with the Russell Wilson. And this offense is there's weapons everywhere on this offense. And then all the Broncos needed was a quarterback that can deliver the ball, and you get a Russell Wilson. Not to mention the head coach now is Nathaniel Hackett, who was our Packers offensive coordinator for the past couple of years. So there's going to be a lot of things we're going to see similar. You saw in Green Bay that of course, when you have quarterbacks like Aaron and quarterbacks like Russell, this offense is going to fly. But look at the defensive side of the ball. To me, I believe this defense that the Broncos had is the best defense in this division. And why I say that is, and I think the Chargers will come in second, they added a lot of pieces. Not to mention, they were in the top five defenses last year. They
Yes,
finished third in
definitely.
scoring defense. So it was hard to score on this defense, and people automatically forgot that that was the case. All they needed was a quarterback. Now they have a Russell Wilson. It's going to be dangerous. But when I look at this whole division, it's going to be a very, very dangerous division because I think the Chargers, they're a young, gritty team that wants that respect when you have Justin Herbert playing the way he's playing. And then they add Khalil Mack also. So to me, when you look at this whole division is going to be insane.
Much watch
Yeah,
TV. Much watch.
exactly. Then when you look at the Raiders add Devontae. You add a lot of guys. Then you still have Waller, one of the best tight ends, and you have Hunter Renfro. Then you have Josh Jacobs at running back, and Derek Carr can deliver the ball. And I do like Derek Carr. It's going to be awesome to see this division. But to me,
And
I think
Jasmine, don't forget.
the most complete team to me is the Denver Broncos on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. They just needed a quarterback that can deliver, and now they have that in Russell Wilson.
Right, and just don't forget the Vegas big market new stadium that they have. What
Absolutely.
a crazy thing that thing is, and especially like the new destinations. Because when it comes to Russell going to Denver, it's really no difference. But I know that he feels a new relief, and he's kind of like getting his mojo back with everything else. Because you saw him in Seattle, they will always be those contenders. But right now, you already know that it's serious. You seen what Vaughn did,
Hmm.
last season,
Absolutely.
going to a different team. And right now, just like I said before, a lot of these teams know that their window is open and they trying to win right now.
And and that's where I get irritated with the Packers because all these young quarterbacks are getting so much talent on top of talent, and Aaron is just sitting there and yep, I'm just chilling. It's all a mess. But when I look at this AFC, the AFC this year is the heavyweights right now. We've always seen the battle of okay, which conference is the strongest. Right now, when I look at the AFC and who's going over there and who's signing with who, the AFC is strong. When you have Von Miller goes sign with the Bills. The Bills are obviously going to always be a contender. It's going to be, and then today the Falcons traded Matt Ryan to the Colts. The AFC is going to be stacked. Deshaun going to the Browns. The Bengals stacking up their offensive line, which was that was their only weakness. This whole conference is going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. It's going to be much more, especially this division. And I'm really excited to see this because you want to see that competitive football. You don't want to see just one team dominating for so long. I want to see a lot of these teams compete. And there's a lot of young, talented quarterbacks in this whole conference
So
that
good.
have something to say. Like you still have Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert's making a name for himself. Tua's making a name for himself. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, all these guys, Deshaun. There's a lot of great talent in this division, and I'm really excited because you're going to see these guys go back and forth for years to come. It's not just 1 year, two. This is years down the line. We're going to see a lot of these guys competing at a high level, and you know, for me, as my second team is the Seahawks. Of course, the team was going down after we lost that Super Bowl to New England, and you started to see some of the friction. A lot of guys leaving, a lot of guys retiring. And when you look at Russell, it was time for Russell to go. Russell's one of the good quarterbacks that we still have left, obviously. So it's good to see him go get a breath of fresh air, not just any old team. He went to a team that's actually talented. So I'm really excited to see what the Denver Broncos are going to do. I know my dad is super excited because he's a Denver Broncos fan. But when I
Right.
look at the Chiefs, my biggest question for the Chiefs, we're starting to see a trend. Of course, they're a red hot team. They're offensively gifted. There's a whole track team. But it's the question of now our team starting to catch up to them. When you see the Bills, what they did, when you saw what Joe Burrow did, are these teams starting to catch up now? And then the division just got tougher for them. You got someone like Russell Wilson who will compete and he's not afraid. There's going to be a lot of questions for the Chiefs, and I have questions for them because defensively, there's still some questions that have to be asked. And I think their defense got a little better, but when I look at the Chiefs, I see these teams starting to catch up to them. I'm starting to see Patrick Mahomes not dipping, but it's starting to say, okay, this is the same thing we've seen him do, and there's no change. So that's my only concern. I still think the Chiefs are going to be something to mess with. Obviously, when you have Andy Reid as your coach and Eric Bieniemy, he's still going to be their offensive coordinator, and they still have those teams. And then you add a receiver like Juju who can do a lot of good things. I don't think he's a number one receiver. I do think when you add him with Cheetah and Travis, it's going to be a big deal, and I'm excited to see this division. But Jeremiah, to me, now this is the bigger question. Maybe this question is too early to ask. Who wins the whole conference to get to the Super Bowl?
Ooh-wee. Oh man. Um, I'm such a Dolphins fan, but I can't even lie. Those Bills look scary right now. I cannot lie. Those Bills do look scary because the addition with Von Miller, not to mention they pick up one of my guys, Duke Johnson, to go over there for 1 year. I'm like, how many spots do you guys have left? Because we need some for ourselves. And we of course we have an upcoming team ourselves, the Dolphins. You got the Patriots right there upcoming, but teams that like are ready right now to hit that next step is of course the Bills, the Chiefs. They're not going to leave this conversation. Denver is right there. You have the Raiders in the picture, and not to mention it's I can't say it's for anyone's grab, but every game is almost a must watch because it's like everyone is going to be competitive unless you're playing
Yeah.
either the Jaguars or you're playing the Jets. That's the
But
only
even
way
them,
that I can feel. That's the
but
only
think
way I
about
can
that
feel.
though.
Mhm.
Even the Jags are stacking.
They
That's
are.
what's
They
crazy
are because
about
they're a
the
very
AFC right
upcoming
now.
team.
The AFC teams right now, they're stacking very heavily. And not to mention, you add Matt Ryan is a good quarterback, and you add him to a very good Colts team who has a lot of weapons, who has a very, very strong offensive line. And I believe they were the number one offensive line last year. You have a running back that can run the ball. This is good. I wouldn't be surprised. Watch out for the Colts too. You add Matt Ryan, he's getting
They,
a breath of fresh air now too. It's a
look, not
lot of
to mention,
questions, man.
not to mention I know that Leon is what's called a Baltimore Ravens fan. So I know those matchups with the Browns, and you got
Oh
the
yeah.
Baltimore with Deshaun right now. You got Lamar.
Oh
I
man.
think is going to be a must watch because I can't wait to see those matchups together. And you can't even count the Ravens out. They're just
Yeah.
making moves quietly. They are still there, and they can make some things happen when it comes to
I'm
the
I'm
Steelers.
just
Different
I'm
things.
really excited. I think a lot of people are going to be watching these AFC divisions and watch them very closely. You're going to see a lot of 13 win teams, I believe. You're going to see a lot of teams are going to be 13, 12 wins in this division for sure. Or not just this division, but the whole conference. I'm really
Definitely.
excited to see. And then the draft is coming. You're going to see a lot of guys getting drafted, and it's going to be very interesting to see because it's like this is football. Football's supposed to be competitive. I'm just super excited. And it's not like I don't even dislike the Raiders. At least Devontae didn't go to an NFC team that I don't like. I don't even dislike the Raiders. I think the Raiders are pleasing. Let's just say that. But now it's who is going to take the crown? Who is going to say, you know what, we're taking over the AFC? It's a lot of questions.
Yes, because it's
Josh
looking
Allen has
shaky right
something to
now.
say. Right.
Who's gonna pick it?
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, now Russell, Justin Herbert, Tua, Joe Burrow, Deshaun now, Lamar. Who is just who's gonna be the king? Who's gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna own this division, I'm gonna own this conference. being that Brady has gone, he shifted now to the NFC. It's going to be a lot, but that wraps up tonight's show, Jeremiah. We'll definitely keep an eye on this whole thing and just the free agency and the draft is coming up next month. There's going to be a lot of exciting stuff coming from football. But that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you, Jeremiah, for always being here and giving your insight on these sports topics. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Jay, for all of your production and support. Thank you to the audience for giving your support as well. It's always, always a pleasure to give you guys my voice, give you guys my thoughts and concerns and opinions about these sports topics. That wraps up tonight's show. See you guys here on Monday at 9 p.m. Have a good night.